I want to talk to you now about the law of expansion. I love this law. You're not supposed to have favorites, but this is close. And the law of expansion just basically says that growth always increases your capacity. And that's just so true. That when you and I begin to grow, it increases your capacity, it increases my capacity. When people say, John, why are you passionate about growing? Very simple. You only can get better if you grow. Your people can only get better if you grow. How do you grow yourself? How do you grow your company? You grow your people. You grow yourself. Once you do that, it begins to expand. It begins to enlarge. So let me start with a story. When I was in my 20s, Earl Nightingale, heard him say that if you'd spend 1 hour a day, every day, on a certain given subject for 5 years, you could become an expert on that subject. Now, I'm a young leader, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I want to be a really good leader, so I'm going to take him up on that. I'm going to every day spend an hour on leadership. And I'm going to do it for 5 years, and you know, when I'm 32, I'm going to be an expert on leadership. That just shows you how stupid I was. But I bought into this 1 hour a day for 5 years on a certain subject, and you can become an expert. So off I go. And I mean, I'm reading leadership stuff. I'm talking to people that are leaders. I'm traveling to leadership events. Everything I can do. I'm just every day an hour leadership. And when I started off this process, I was enamored by what Nightingale said was, in 5 years, you can become an expert. And I thought, man, 5 years, I can become an expert. And so every day, as I would do my leadership, I'd say, wow, how long will it take? 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 5 years? 4 years, 3 years? How long will it take? How long will it take? How long will it take? And then something interesting happened about halfway through that 5-year period. I all of a sudden understood. Nobody said this to me. All of a sudden, in my growth journey, I realized that I was making a definite move, a definite switch. And I stopped asking every day, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take? Oh, 5 years, 32. How long is it going to take? I'm going to be next. How long is it going to take? And about halfway through it, I quit asking, how long is it going to take? And I started asking, how far can I go? And everything changed when I switched those two questions. No longer was I wanting to be an expert at 32, because guess what? You can't be an expert at 32. Let me tell you something. You can't be an expert at 42 either. You can't be an expert at 52. Can I tell you something about experts? There aren't any. You see, what I found in my growth journey was this. The more that I know, the more I know I don't know. You see, the only people that think they know everything are just non-growing, stupid people. And I love people say, oh my gosh, John, yeah, I got that one. Got that. Oh yeah, I got that one. Got that? Got that? Hello? You don't got that. You don't got anything. Now you may be growing toward it. You may be getting a lot better. Hope you are. Should be. But this idea of arrival, this idea, and the reason we have this idea of arrival is because we're so position conscious, we're so goal conscious, we're so pin conscious, we're so, oh, you get here and you get this, you go there and you got that, okay, I got it here, and how long will it take, 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 how long will it take? What an immature question. It reminds me of my children when they were small, and we'd be in the car. Come on, talk to me. How long will it take, Daddy? Are we there yet? How long is it going to take? You know, that's okay for a 3-year-old. When you're 33 and you're still that immature, you need to get a life. When you ask how long will it take, it tells me immediately you don't understand growth. You're wanting shortcuts, quick fixes, drive-in windows, fast food. How long will it take? How long will it take? And this whole law of expansion is not about how long it will take. It's not like how long is it going to take. It's all about it expands me. It makes me a better person. It makes me a bigger person. And it's like Nike. Let me tell you something. There is no finish line. Where did we ever get this idea that we can just really run hard? And then one day we got it. We got it. Touchdown. I got it. And it's over. I'm 69. I feel today, in some ways, I'm farther from the finish line than I did at 59. Now, I've got a little bit more panic because I know I'm getting down to these days that are numbered. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just saying, my gosh, this is so exciting. It's so much fun. In fact, let me tell you something. This is so much fun, I don't want to find the finish line. I sometimes feel like a puppy chasing a car. I mean, you've seen a little puppy, they're just going down and chasing. If they ever caught that car, they wouldn't know what to do with it. They don't really want to catch the car. They just want to run and yelp. And that's how I feel about growth. It's kind of like, wow, I just love learning every day. I love experiencing things. I love meeting people. I love asking questions. And it's just like every day somebody's teaching me something. Every day I'm learning something. Every day I got something I didn't get yesterday. And it's a process. And that's this incredible law of expansion. Now that we've got that under our belt, because it's huge, there's no finish line. It's not, am I there yet? When do I get there? How long will it take? It's not that at all. It's all, my gosh, I wonder how far I can go. And let me tell you something that's going to encourage you. If you are passionate for lifetime growth as I am, what's going to be really beautiful for you is you will surprise yourself how far you can go. That I know. Every day I am surprised. Every day I smile. Every day I go, oh my gosh. Couldn't imagine being here. It's better than I thought. It's bigger than I could have ever imagined. It's so much fun. You're going to, in fact, you're going to grow so much that I'll promise you, some days you're just going to want to introduce yourself to yourself. You're just going to say, John Maxwell, meet John Maxwell. This is huge. I'd like to meet you. I've never met you before. Where did you come from? I would have never imagined you could have turned out like this. You're amazing. Have you ever been away from somebody for 5 or 10 years and you went back to see them and you had lunch with them? And you just kind of looked across the table about halfway through lunch. And you're saying to yourself, ain't nobody moving. They're right where they were when I left them the last time. It's kind of like being at Mummyville. It's just like, oh my gosh, it ain't changing. Now, experts say that we only use 10% of our potential. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've always had a hard time with that. 10%, doesn't that seem a little low to you? Always seems a little low to me. I think, I'm not sure. It seems like, I think I do better than 10%. Now, I know I don't know huge, but I think I do 30%. I just do. I think if you're really growing, I'm going to just say you're 30%. We're all 30%ers, okay? Look at your person and say, you're a 30%er. Go ahead and tell them. You're a 30%, yeah. Now that you've looked at it, say, oh, I take that back. You are a 10%er. The experts are right. Oh my gosh, I did overrate you, didn't I? Huh? Okay, now, but let's just say for fun purposes, let's say we're 30%. Then what that means is 70% is our potential number. Now, I don't know what that does for you, but that just kind of says to me, I've got a lot of room for growth. I've got a lot of room for, it's not like I'm 90% and I only got 10% to go and I'm almost there and I'm just about to touch it. It's not that all. I'm 70% away. And the question is, how do I tap in? How do I expand myself to that other 70%? And there are two things I want to give you today that are just going to help you get a little bit closer, okay? You're not going to get there, but it's just going to expand you. You're going to grow from this. There are two things, okay? To tap into that 70% potential number that is in front of you, we've got to change two things, okay? Just two things, okay? We have to change how we think, and we have to change what we do. Other than that, no problem. It's kind of like my golfing buddy that said, John, you only have one problem playing golf. You're too close to the ball after you hit it. We only have one problem. If we want to get that aside, all we got to do is change how we think, and we got to change what we do. So I'm going to give you three things that you got to change how you think, and I'm going to give you three things that you need to change on what you do. And if you just do these, life's going to be good, okay? So let's go. Number one, you have to stop thinking more work, and you have to start thinking what works. You've got to go from, I got to stop thinking more work, I got to do more, and I got to start thinking what works. Because activity is not necessarily accomplishment. And just because you're busy, it doesn't impress me. I know when people say, oh my gosh, I'm really busy. That means nothing. I know a whole bunch of people that are very unsuccessful that are very busy. If you go to developing nations, one of the things you'll get very amazed with is how many of them, they work hard. They work very hard. And so you got to stop thinking more work, and you got to be asking yourself, what works? My life was changed. My life was changed when I was in college, and I was taught the Pareto principle, that incredible principle, Alfredo Pareto, the Italian economist. In fact, when that prof that day in that class taught the Pareto principle, that is, if you get your priorities right, and number one is number one, number two is truly number one, if you just do your top two things out of 10, 20%, it'll give you an 80% return of everything you need in your life. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to that prof teach the Pareto principle, and I'm saying to myself as a kid and working on a business degree, this principle has the power to change my life. I need to be a student of it. And for the next 20 years, I studied it and I taught it with great passion. It's all about it's all about not more work, but what works. It's all about prioritizing your life in an incredible way. And in fact, I can remember, I've got a card here of the Pareto principle, and if you got your top two priorities, you get an 80% return. I remember visually doing this, and I would teach this all the time. And then one day I had some fun on the 20-80 principle. And I wrote down 20% of the roads have 80% of the traffic jams. 20% of the drinkers consume 80% of the beer. 20% of the students participate in 80% of the classroom discussion. 20% of your clothes are worn 80% of the time. 20% of your customers bring 80% of the profits. 20% of the employees generate 80% of the problems. 20% of the information produces 80% of the decisions. 20% of your people take up 80% of your time. Woo! 20% of the book contains 80% of the content. That is not true about my books. Those are the other books out there. 20% of your results come from 80% of your time. Isn't that true? I love this. 20% of the people will eat 80% of the food. Now, it's just a phenomenal principle. And the principle is just very simple. Very simple. You don't need to do more. You need to prioritize what you do. When I went as the senior pastor to San Diego, to Skyline, it was already a very successful church, and the founding pastor had been there for 33 years, okay? The church was founded right before I was born. So I'm in front of a search committee, and for 4 hours they're asking me questions about me if I become the senior lead pastor of that church. So after they get done answering me, I answer questions for 4 hours. And so when they're done, I said, well, I don't have many questions, but I have a couple I want to ask you. Because I said, I know you're deciding if you want me to come, but I'm really deciding if I want to come. I just love making people nervous. I said, I got a question to ask you. If I become the lead pastor of this church, what do I have to do that no one else in this congregation can do but me? Only I can do this. And we went into an amazing 2-hour conversation. You see, the founding pastor, as all founders, they did everything because founders are founders and they just think everything's important. And I looked at the thing and I thought there's a whole bunch of stuff not important. And what do I have to do? And when we got done, they said I only had to do 4 things. One of the things they said, we'd like for you to show up on Sunday. And I thought that was a little confining, but I agreed with that. You know what I mean? And so we made and then I said, now you have to understand, you've got to understand something. I'll do those 4 things. But I will train and equip people to do everything else in this church. You have to understand, I am coming to train, equip, and develop people. Now, that was a huge question. What do I have to do that no one else can do except me? You see, you ought to look at your business. You ought to ask yourself, what is it that they have to have me? They have to have me. There's just Mark Cole, who's right over beside me, who runs all 5 of my companies, he does all the work. I don't hardly do anything. I just have a couple things I've got to do. One of the things I'm doing today, I have to be the primary communicator for any of my companies because I'm the best communicator. And there ain't anybody as good as me. Not even close. I'm kidding. I'm just having fun with you. But I know. I do the 10-80-10 principle all the time. I get on the 10% of an issue of a challenge. Mark and I'll sit down. I'll get on the 10%. Then 80% of it runs by. Everybody's working it, and I get on the last 10%. I want the front 10%. Start it right. I want the last 10%. Put the cherry on the top. Now, what do you have to do that only you can do? You got to figure that out because whatever that is, that's where the sweet spot is. That's where all the return is. All the return is in you doing the things that you're highly gifted to you that no one else can do, and everything else has very little return for you. So don't think less. Think strategic. Think priorities. The second thing you got to do is you got to stop thinking, can I? And start thinking, how can I? There's a world difference between a person who says, well, you know what, can I do that? That's full of doubt. But when you say, how can I? It's basically, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. And all of my life, I have been giving people permission to try. I am almost like a permission giver. To try. I just say try. I just say go for it. Just okay. Let's get out there. Let's try this. I remember many years ago. Many years ago when McDonald's didn't even have Diet Coke, and I remember I stopped at a McDonald's and Margaret would drink Diet Coke, and so they didn't have any Diet Coke, and so I said, okay. She said we don't have Diet Coke. I said, okay, that's all right. Give me just a cup full of ice. And I thought I'll just go to the convenient market somewhere and get her a Diet Coke, and everybody will be happy. And when I asked her to give a cup of ice, she's looking on her thing, and there's no place to punch cup of ice. And so she's a little perplexed. She said, wow, I don't know if I can do that. And I remember I looked at her, and I smiled, and I said, yes, you can. And she said, okay. And she went and did it. I thought, most people in life, they're just waiting for somebody to say, yes, you can. You see, instead of asking, can I, you just turn down and say, well, how can I do this? What am I? Because what happens is, most people, when they look at the door, they see no, and they say, "Can I open that door?" And I look at that door and I just see a big yes on it. And let me tell you something. What you want to do is live a how can I life in such a way that you're always attempting things that sometimes you won't do well, some things that you won't do at all, some doors won't open at all, some doors are jammed. But I know people, they go into one jammed door and they basically say all the rest of their life, all doors are jammed. Or all doors are locked. And so they pass all these opportunities because they don't have a how can I spirit. Now, here's what happens. I've said yes all my life. And confidence stimulates creativity that discovers answers. And I just say to you, you gotta learn to live on the other side of yes. Most people live on the dark side of no. And you just gotta say, I gotta get over on the other side. Now, when you get over on the other side, does it always work out? No, it doesn't work out. But get on the other side of yes. I love it. At the John Maxwell team, we do this training every 6 months, and we have this booth, this information booth. We had 3,400 in Orlando a few weeks ago, and it's just amazing what's happening. And in our information booth, no credit to me, my team does all this. I don't do anything like that. But this information booth where you go for questions, the big banner at the back of it said, there's just a big banner. It says, the answer is yes. Now, what's your question? The answer is yes. What's your question? See, this is a how can I spirit. I said yes many years ago when I was very young to writing a commentary. In fact, the commentary was not only a commentary, it was on Deuteronomy. And I only did it because, not because I was qualified, because I wasn't qualified, but they asked me to do it, and I knew that if I wrote a commentary for teachers and speakers and pastors, that you never throw a commentary away. You know, a lot of books you'll put in the garage sale, but that commentary will stay there. And I thought I'd like to have one book that stays on the shelf. And so I said yes. Now, when we're talking about living on the other side, yes. First of all, I didn't know Hebrew. I knew Greek, but I didn't know Hebrew. It was Old Testament, so I had need to know Hebrew. So when I said yes, the first thing I realized is I don't know Hebrew, so I had to go hire a tutor that tutored me for a year in Hebrew. And not only did I not know Hebrew, but I didn't have time to do this commentary because I was already pretty busy. So I said, what am I going to give up? So I gave up golf for a year so that I have time. And I wasn't academic, so I went to all the scholars and I'd ask them questions because I'd just say, you're smarter than me. How would you answer this? What do you think about this? And then I just copied their answers down. And I didn't know the Jewish culture, so I went over and spent some time in Israel and in Jordan, so I could understand. Now, here's the whole point. I said yes, and had no business saying yes. Didn't know Hebrew, didn't have time, didn't understand this culture, wasn't academic, and it took me 18 months to do that. It was the hardest work. But when I finished, I was so proud. And there were 66 writers of each commentary, each for a book of the Bible. And I wrote them a letter, and I sent them one of the commentaries. I said, would you just sign it for me? And over the next couple of months, I got every one of them to sign. I got a full set of commentaries with me doing Deuteronomy, with them all signed with personal notes. And I got it in my office, and it's one of my most treasured, precious treasures. And when I looked at that treasure, you know why it's so precious to me? I had to work so hard to get there. But you got to live on the other side of yes. Quit asking, can I, and change it to how can I. The last thing you got to stop doing is, because you've got to stop thinking one way and start thinking many ways. You just have to, because for such a long time, I was kind of a one-way thinker. I'd go around, I love to teach, there's one way to do this, there's one thing you need to know, one, and I just kind of liked that, and it was so wonderful, but it was so not really good. See, I never think one way now. I think many ways, and when I found a way, guess what? I think there's a better way. I remember when we moved in 1997 to Atlanta, and the traffic, of course, you know what the traffic's like. We don't need to talk about it. And this is before GPS. And I said, okay, I can't handle this because you'll find this hard. I'm not a very patient person. So I said, I can't handle this. So I spent the first 6 months driving Atlanta, figuring out different ways to go to the same destination. And I had, at all times, at least 3 ways to go anywhere. You say, I'm going to go to the airport. I'd say, okay, here's the best way, here's the second way. And that was before GPS, because I knew me. Once the traffic stops, I'll put the car in reverse to move. You understand? I don't even mind going the wrong way somewhere as long as I'm moving. Huh? And I just said, there's got to be another way. There's got to be another way to get there. There's got to be. And here's my whole point in this whole of the way we think. When you think there is only one door, and you stand in line for that one door, and you get inside that one door, it may be the door, it may be wonderful, but here's what I'm telling you: there are more than one. There's a lot of doors for you. There's a lot of opportunities for you. There's a lot of things out there for you. And the moment that you begin to understand, there's more than one answer. Oh, these people just say, well, I'm looking for the one answer. Oh, come on, get a life. There's more than just one thing. And you just get expansive. This is the law of expansion. Now, that's in thinking. You got to change your thinking. But now, let's talk about doing for a moment. Number one, stop doing what is expected and start doing more than is expected. You just want to live a life of exceeding expectations. Here's what I know. 85% of the people don't even meet expectations. 10% meet expectations and only 5% exceed expectations. And the 5% that exceed expectations, they are the ones that get all the goods. So you just don't let anybody set the bar for you. Don't let anybody. I mean, you got to set your own level of expectations, and they ought to be higher than anyone else. When somebody's setting expectations for you, you're already in trouble. They're telling you that you aren't going as high and doing as much as you possibly could do. So you want to exceed those expectations. There's a wonderful Italian restaurant down where we live called Evo's, and the first time I went in there and we ordered some food, I said, I'd like to have a Coke Zero. I said, oh, I'm so sorry, we don't have Coke Zero, we have Diet Coke. I said, okay, I'll take Diet Coke. That was it. I came in about, 3 or 4 weeks later for dinner again, and I sat down. And pretty soon she just brought me a Coke Zero and poured it. I said, oh my gosh, you got Coke Zero. She said, for you. You were here last time and you wanted a Coke Zero and all we had Diet Coke. And so I just told the manager and said, well, keep some Coke Zero stored back there. Mr. Maxwell will come back. He'll come back. Exceeding expectations. My father, during the Depression, held down 3 jobs. I mean, there was a line every day for people who couldn't find a job, and my dad had 3 of them. You say, well, how did he do that? It's very simple. He would go to the hardware store. He was very, very young, by the way, when this happened. He'd go to a hardware store, and he said, I know that you can't afford anybody to work here, but, I don't have any work, and so I would like to work for you free today. What do you have that you would like me to do? I'd just like to work for you free today. And they said, you're kidding me. No, can I work for you free? And my father would work all day for the hardware guy. And when it was done that day, Dad would say, now, here's my phone number. He said, now, I know you can't hire me now, but let me just say there, if you liked what I did for free, if you ever think about hiring somebody, think of me. The next day, go to a different store. And just every day, work for free, work for free, work for free, work for free. Some would say, well, could you come back and work 10 hours for us? Hey, in 3 months, my father had 3 jobs. Everybody else out of work. What's the difference? My father thought differently and did it. He exceeded expectations. They couldn't resist the free work, and once they saw the free work was so good, the moment they needed somebody, right back at him. So do more than is expected. Number 2, stop doing important things some days and start doing important things every day. If it's important enough, if it's on your list and it's just really important, don't get like, oh my gosh, 2 times a week I do this, 3 times a week I do this. Don't go there at all. If it's really good, Do it every day. Hang right in there. My gosh. It can be beautiful. So what you do is you say, okay, what are the essentials? What really is important? See, for example, for me, every day, I have to add value to people. I just have to. It's who I am. It's just what I know. It's what I love. It changes people's lives. I have to do that every day. I have to do that every day. You see, here's what I want you to know. If you do something good and it really works, here's a thought. Why not keep doing it? I get amazed at people who just do something that really works, and they say, I'm going to have to try that again. And I look at them and say, try that again? When? Next Monday? Next week? Every month? Try that again? Instead of, I'm going to start doing that every day. The return is in priorities with consistency. Get those two together. Priorities with consistency. When you do the things that are important and you do them every day, that's where the return is. The return is all in the fact I do the main thing every day. I don't do the main thing some days. I don't do the main thing once in a while. I do the main thing every day of my life. One more thing to stop doing. Stop doing everything by yourself and start doing things with others. Oh my gosh. You just need to You just need to understand that if you do it yourself, you add. But if you do it with others, you multiply. So when you want to multiply influence, when you want to multiply money, when you want to multiply time, my gosh, whenever you want to expand, this is the law of expansion. Whenever you want to just multiply anything, the first thing you got to understand is I need to do it with others. And I know people that'll come to me all the time and say, "Well, John, let me tell you about others. Here's the thing I know. Here's why I love you. Here's why I do it myself." When they start with, "This is why I do it myself," I thought, "Oh dear God, listen to the loser one more time." I do it myself because, John, let me tell you something. I've trained people, and as soon as I got them trained, they left me. What could be worse than spending time, effort, investing, training people, and after you get them trained, they go somewhere else? What could be worse than that? I have an answer for you. Not training them and having them stay. Come on. Talk to me just for a moment. Do we have to live in Stupidville all of our life? And of course you're going to train people and they're going to leave. Of course you are. Life is a revolving door. Just kind of get over it, folks. Just get over it, okay? There are some people that you lose. You just lose them. Some of them you want to lose. In fact, some of them you can't lose. You know what I'm saying? In fact, you take them to the revolving door every day and they don't catch on. They just kind of keep, they just stay in it for a total revolving and come right back in again. And they think, oh, that was fun. And after a while, they just think it's how they get their exercise. They go out and come right back in, out and come right back in. And you just can't lose them. They're just going to come back. But here's what I do know. Everything I have today is because I have good people around me. Everything. You want to talk about any area of my success in my life, and what I'll do immediately is I'll give you the names of people. The names of people who are gifted better than I am, who complete me, who complement me, who add value to me, who make a difference for me, and they do it with such consistency, they do it with such care, they do it with such kindness, they do it with such love, and they just do it, and they do it all the time, and it's humbling to me. It's humbling to me. I mean, this is a perfect example. When I walked out to teach you today, this is the first time I was here to teach. I mean, I did nothing. I didn't set up any cameras. I didn't do anything. I didn't do any email. I didn't do anything. They just said, John, could you get ready to teach the 15 laws? So I've been over there writing and teaching the 15, working on it, upgrading, doing everything else. But everything that you're enjoying today, outside of this teaching, everything has been done by others. And I can tell you right now, when I die, they can put on my tombstone, a whole bunch of people made that man. Because they have. And I'm grateful. And I wouldn't be near where I am today if it was not for them.